Yes, I am humbled by your gracious acceptance. Marasav, my sister, your queen, may be gone. But she is with us now, and always. As for you, my friends, my barons, you embraced me when I was cast out. And for that, I gift to you the bounty of the Tangled Shore. Go, unleash upon the fallen chaos.
By your grace, Father.
You would be proud. The Reefborn's love for their queen remains undiminished.
Love is fleeting, but devotion, now that is forever. Not one of them has ever shown more strength of devotion than you, my dear brother. The Awoken cannot be trusted. You and I know that better than anyone. Together, we can bestow upon our people the fortune they so richly deserve. Extinction. Free me. Come, brother. Let us see what dreams may come.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Evil Ducky, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. Let's just call it the pond. Pull up a lily pad, get your favorite snack, refill your water or your coffee, and let's sit down and have a conversation about gaming between friends. So, on today's first episode of this series that I've decided to do, where it's just going to be kind of really casual. I just got some notes of some stuff I want to talk about, and the rest of it's pretty much off the cuff. You're getting raw, unfiltered Ducky. God help us all. Um, but I like the idea of like basically coming to you guys, sitting down, having a conversation with you, like I would have with my friends about different gaming topics. And today we're going to talk about my absolute love for Destiny Forsaken, and why, if we're going to talk about the future of Destiny, it kind of all starts with Forsaken. And some people are going to like argue the point that the Light and Dark saga didn't start with Forsaken, that it was started all the way back in Destiny 1. And I mean, there is some lore and some, I don't know, precedence to really kind of back that up. But in my opinion, I think the real, like, nitty-gritty meat and potatoes of the Light and Dark saga, which we're currently in, and which we're currently at the penultimate DLC for, you know, it started with Forsaken, and Forsaken changed the entire landscape of Destiny. For good or bad, I mean, it definitely depends on your personal opinion of it. I came into the game with Forsaken being the first DLC that I played. I basically got drug in by my best friend, who, let's just call her Toast. She was like, hey, I think you would really like this game. She was getting back into it after taking a break for some time, and she was like, come play Destiny with me. And I was like, all right. And they had just implemented crossplay. So with her playing on PlayStation and me playing on PC and Xbox, that was like so amazing. And she took me through Forsaken. It was me and her who played the whole campaign together, and it was like we did it in an afternoon. And playing it with her, who, I mean, she's probably played through the Forsaken campaign 5, 6, 7, 8 times. I mean, like a lot of times. It was the best possible introduction I had to that world, like to the world of Destiny, to the lore of Destiny. It was the absolute like end all be all as far as DLCs go. In my opinion, the only DLC that's come anywhere close story wise has been Witch Queen, and Witch Queen was a fantastic DLC. I think we can all agree that. But it kind of still does make me sad, especially with Lightfall, and I had all these expectations for Lightfall, and I had all these dreams for Lightfall, because it was supposed to be kind of like cyberpunky, and it was supposed to be like 80s sci-fi movie, which is like totally my vibe. But it failed to deliver, and I think there's something to that. And a lot of people criticize the fact that Nimbus is non-binary, and they're like, oh, you know, you're trying to get all PC and stuff. But as somebody who's non-binary themselves, having a character that is non-binary really made me feel seen by Bungie, which I think probably wasn't their intent. But if anything, I wish that Nimbus's non-binary gender was a little bit more explicit. But other than that, I absolutely love Nimbus. That that character is pretty cool. They could have done a lot more with them, though. They could have done a lot more with them. They could have done a lot more with Ronan. Um, because, like, if you look at Forsaken, like, bringing this back to Forsaken, if we look at Forsaken and the character development that happened, particularly with Uldren Sov and Mara, who are characters that were iconic from Destiny 1, and the lore that came with it, and how it expanded not only the characters of the Awoken royal family, but also of just like the history of the Awoken people in general. We got introduced to the Distributary, which was the pocket universe that a portion of the Awoken are still remaining protected in. And then we have the Awoken that came to the Reef, and you kind of see how everything progressed. And I think, honestly, this is just my opinion, and maybe it's because every single one of my characters in Destiny, my Titan, my Hunter, my Warlock, obviously, all Awoken, really love the culture, really love just like the lore behind the Awoken. The stuff that we got from them, like finding out that it is a predominantly matriarchal society where men are coveted, where men are protected, where men are considered, you know, of such high value because there's so few of them that they're almost kept under lock and key, which is such a juxtaposition from so many Western cultures that it tickles my pickle. Really, it just tickles me to no end that, you know, especially because I know so many fanboys in Destiny have massive hard-ons for Mara, and if you read the lore that came with Forsaken, you find out that most guys are probably not who Mara would be interested in. Just saying. Oh, sure, I know what? What? Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you know who I would love to see come and because I think that there's going to be a wave of new Guardians uh coming up. And especially with the final shape coming, I think with the next DLC we're gonna get a bunch of new Guardians. They're already kind of setting it up a little bit for some changeover in Vanguard and the structure of how the Guardians are when we get into the next chapter of the Destiny saga. And I think some characters that would be really cool to bring back in this way, particularly would be Shiraido, who was this legendary female warrior, lover of Mara, an amazing archer, which, like, for me, I'm a bow user in Destiny. I'm a minority, I know that, but like I love me my Wish Ender bow. I love me some Shiraido. I would love to see her come in as as a guardian. I would love to see her get resurrected by a ghost. I think that that would be such a fantastic tie-in to the lore that has been built. You know, I don't know if people understand like world building, but let me just talk about world building for a second. One thing I love about George R. R. Martin and the world that he created with A Song of Ice and Fire is he does this thing called gardening. And basically, like, you put stuff out, you spread your seeds out, and you see what takes and what blooms and what grows. And that's really what they did with a lot of concepts with Forsaken is they spread a lot of seeds. And you know, we had some of the very first introduction to darkness, we had some of the very first introduction to with the level of corruption that darkness can exhibit on someone and something, even something as powerful as the Ahamkara and Ribbon, and still being touched by the corruption and everything like that. They weren't fully taken, but that still shows how powerful that taken magic is and how powerful just the act of taking is. And it just opens up so many interesting lines of thought and so many interesting threads that you can follow if you're really into lore and you really just want to sink your teeth into something within the world of Destiny lore wise. And I also think because Forsaken was my introduction to the Destiny series, and it was also very much my introduction to the lore, that, you know, I did dig my teeth, so to speak, most of all into the lore that came with Forsaken, into the lore around Uldren, into the lore around Mara and the Awoken. And I think that's why I still to this day they're my favorite characters. I absolutely adore Crow, and I have all the hopes and dreams for Crow. And I'm kind of scared of what could potentially happen to Crow now that he's lost Amanda. I mean, was I kind of sad that he had some romantical feelings for Amanda? Yes, because I am a fangirl. I do not hide that at all. But I think as far as his character goes, there was a recent, one of the last radios that you got at the farm between Mara and Uldren, where she's talking about like how when he grieves, he puts everything into himself and it destroys him. And I think he knows that, and I think that with we're going to really see a turning point. It's he could either very much fall into Uldren's path, where he let that grief consume him and drive him towards darkness, or we're going to see if he's going to embrace Crow and find a new path and learn to lean on the people he has around him, including Mara. So it's going to be interesting because we didn't really get to see a lot of the brother-sister dynamic per se between Uldren and Mara. Because what we saw in Forsaken was Ribbon basically screwing with Uldren's head. And so I think now, particularly in this current season, and I hope in future seasons, we're going to get to see more of how Mara really was with Uldren. And I hope that it changes my opinions, because some of my opinions of Mara and her relationship with Uldren and the controlling aspects of it, and the fact that she was very manipulative to him, and, you know, he kind of was portrayed and viewed by both her mother and by Mara herself as just some dumb dude. And that's not who Uldren was, and that's not who Crow is. And I really hope that as we go forward, the writers with Bungie really take that into consideration. I always joke that, like, with my friends, that at the end of the day, like, the stories that we as fans, we as people who love these games and love these series in media, the stories we come up with are always going to be 10 times better than what the writers come up with. And there's always going to be some level of disappointment with them. And I think that's kind of like the mood of being part of the Destiny community, is to be perpetually disappointed and to kind of just be sad about shit and like not be happy that, you know, we got what we got, because we've had these amazing stories so far. We like Forsaken and Witch Queen, and now we've had this. It's like we've had like the name brand high end good stuff, and now like we're being given the Kmart special knockoff. And it's just like, I can understand where the community gets really frustrated. Because I'm more of like a casual player per se, and I play mostly for the story, not necessarily for the competitive aspect of it. I think my perspective on the game is a little bit different than, let's say, somebody who is hard into PvP, or someone who is hard into raids and wants to do day one raids. I'm more like, let's take time, let me sit and read my lore tabs and drink my coffee in the morning. But yeah, so those are some of my thoughts about Destiny and Forsaken and the story of where it's going and where we've been. And going into the final shape, there is a lot that kind of hangs in the balance. There's a lot that needs to be wrapped up. I definitely am curious to see what the seasonal content for the rest of the year is going to be, because let's be real, for the last couple of years, the seasonal content has been pretty on point. You know, there have been a couple hits and misses, but, you know, for the most part, I think the seasonal content has been chef kiss. And so, since the next season is going to be called the Season of the Deep, and if you guys aren't aware, if you're not big ass lore nerds like me, the Deep is what they referred to where the worms came from. And if you're wondering, like, what worms I'm referring to, I am talking about the worms that turned Savathun, well, rather Sithona, into Savathun, and basically made the hive the hive. So if we're going into the Season of the Deep, and the raid for, you know, Lightfall really had a lot of aquatic themes, I'm definitely thinking that we're going to be exploring some of the origin of the powers. And I've also heard that we might actually get some answers to what the veil is going to be, which is really something that I'm just desperate. I have to know about. I want to know what the veil is, because I don't like not knowing, especially when it's something that seems so vastly important to the overarching story. But I've been rambling on long enough, guys. If you've made it all the way to the end, you guys freaking rock. Please give the video a like, drop some comments down below, subscribe if you're so inclined. I mean, I'm not going to be one of those people who's like pushing all the YouTube things on you. Probably should be, but you know, not that type of person. I am going to be doing some live streams over here, and I'm also going to be testing out Kick and maybe a little bit of Twitch to see like just what platform works well with me, what platform I can have like a decent enough audience on. I might play some Destiny, I might play some Stardew Valley and just chill. We might play some Sims, build in the Sims. I love building in the Sims. It's such a zen thing for me. I also have a bunch of other games that I've been thinking about wanting to play, including doing a Mass Effect playthrough with you guys, because, you know, love me some Mass Effect, love me some Garrus Vicarian. So let me know what you guys would like to see down below. Like, I'm open to suggestions. I want to make this channel, like, yeah, it's my channel, but I want to make it a community where we all feel like we have some input into the content. And yeah, so I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your day. Take care, guys. Be kind to each other. Drink your water. And, peace, guys. Ducky out.
He didn't feel a thing.